pull up. I'm like, there's a fish. There's a muskie on there.
Off the bank.
Off the bank.
Okay.
I'm just walking up. I cast in, and boom. And I don't know how big it was. I didn't get a measurement, but it's a good-sized fish.
Yeah.
I'm on like 12-pound line. Somehow barely hooked him in the corner of the mouth.
Oh, wow. The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching and listening. We got a great show for you today. All about creek fishing. Mr. John Dalton is with us again.
Yes.
To talk about just fishing.
Exactly. It was so much fun the first time. We had to have him back.
Yeah. If you've watched or listened to WildCast in the past, you've seen him and you've heard him. It's been a while, so it was good to get him back in studio. And thanks for coming to Nashville.
Oh, yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Glad to be back on the show and awesome to be in the studio here. Can't wait to go look at some of the animals I got mounted out there.
Yeah. We in our lobby here at the office, we do have a few fish and deer and some things there for folks to look at. But yeah, there's a few world records out there and all that fun stuff. But
yeah, last time we were on location at Cleveland State, I believe, right?
Yeah,
yep.
That's right.
And in their auditorium, and so anyway, glad you could come to us this time, John. Appreciate that.
Well, as always, let's highlight a radio station, and maybe we got another secret highlight
Do
today.
a salute this show. Yeah, we've got. We're going to go back to our flagship station in Cowan, Tennessee, WZYX Radio. It's a Wiseman Media Station, and they were the absolute first radio station to take on WildCast.
Yeah.
So they started it all, and we appreciate them to this day. We're on Saturday mornings at 6 a.m., and it's 1440 a.m., 94.5 and 95.3 FM. So got you covered down there in the Cowan area.
Awesome.
And Tim's Ford and all that, a lot of good fishing areas down that way. So anyway, we appreciate them. And, WildCast is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's on radio, it's on social, and we are also on TV. So we're on 3 stations right now, television-wise, and we'll just highlight one this morning. Wilson County Television, WCTV, weekdays at 7:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. I said weekdays. I meant weekends.
Oh, there you go.
Saturdays and Sundays, 7:30 a.m. and p.m. So we appreciate WCTV right there in Wilson County.
Yeah. So it's awesome. It's amazing the places you can get the show, and we're thankful for the radio stations. We're thankful for the TV stations. As well, you can catch us on social, Facebook, Instagram.
Right.
We're out there on YouTube. So all those places you can watch the show, but it's great to have those partners that want to share the info.
It sure is, really is.
Well, I also want to mention the e-store. We mentioned it a lot, but the e-store is out there, shop.gooutdoorstennessee.com. Pick up a hat similar to the one I have on today. And then also your licenses, pick up your license at gooutdoorstennessee.com. Make sure you're legal. And what's going on now with those licenses, Don?
It's $365.
Yeah.
It's good for a full year after you buy it, no matter what day you buy it.
No matter what day.
So that's a big change this year, and a good one, because we'd had a lot of feedback over the years that people just wanted to have that full year's worth of use at it, and
makes sense,
deservedly so. So we're glad that's a reality now.
Awesome. Well, let's jump in, John. I appreciate you being with us today, and look forward to catching up with you. And I think that's what we'll start out with. I mean, maybe introduce yourself a little bit to the folks out there listening, and kind of what you've been up to, and then we'll dive into some of the stuff that I saw on your social media that you've been doing.
My channel, I got Creek Fishing Adventures is the name of my channel on YouTube. It's on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and it's a channel I started about 5.5-6 years ago, and turned into a full-time job about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I get to fish all over. Now, I just got done coaching basketball, so I was limited a little bit, but through the winter, I'm always trying to do something or find some fish. There's stuff out there to be, found. So I was able to maybe make a few catches. That was pretty cool. We can talk about that in a minute. But I just try to fish wherever I want. My main thing is creeks, and it's about to hit March, or is it today March?
Yeah.
So
March is here.
We're about to get into my favorite time of the year, early spring, and as soon as that water's getting a little warmer, getting out there and walking through it, standing in there with it, and I know that's how you like to fish a lot, and that's just what I love. I love catching a lot of fish, but I love targeting mostly fishing creeks and stuff, and multi-species. I've gotten to travel to the coast of North Carolina and Florida and catch all kinds of different types of fish and all kinds of different types of waters.
Yeah.
But my main thing is if I can catch it out of like a smaller stream or flowing water, that always seems to be more exciting.
I've always said that, like you mentioned, it's one of the most fun types of fishing for me is creek fishing, getting in there with them and casting in those little pools and holes and trying to find them. It's fun.
Yeah, I told John I was so proud of him for not being late this morning because he had to cross 7 Mile Creek to get in here, and it's attractive. You cross that little piece of water and you go, oh, wow, I loved it. I know John does anyway.
I looked it over pretty good.
A lot of people would probably just drive right over it and not recognize it for what it is or could be, but John's the kind of guy, he's got the eye for it.
Yeah.
When you gave me the address or whatever it was, a couple days ago, when I typed it in, I saw, there's a creek going through there, and then there's a park. You have a park right beside it, and then there's sidewalk. Yeah. So I'm like, in about 5 minutes, I already looked at all this stuff. I'm like, okay, there's another spot to check out.
Yeah, it is amazing right here next to the headquarters. There's walking trails that go right down by 7 Mile Creek.
Right.
And I used to fish that on my lunch break sometimes. I'd go down there and cast a line.
I remember being down there with you.
Yeah. And it's a great place to shoot video, too, if we shoot little commercials and stuff down there. But speaking of finding spots, let's jump in on that. How do you locate where you want to go and kind of create a game plan?
Yeah, I like that. I get asked all the time because I go to so many different places. And they're like, how do you find these places? Well, I go out there and look for them. And,
boots on the ground.
Internet's your best friend. I was thinking about it, talking about it before I came on the show, and I think it was last night, I just tapped in Nashville parks. And there's park after park, and then there's pictures of them, like what they have at the park, and almost everyone has a creek.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are on the same creek, like Mill Creek has several and stuff like that, but within 30 minutes, I guarantee you there's 10 public parks, probably more than that have creeks that you can catch fish out of.
Yeah.
And, I mean, some people might go there, but most of that stuff's just overlooked. And a lot of it has miles and such stretches of it. And I fished several of them, and I plan to do a lot more. But drive around, go somewhere. I used to do heating and air, so I would drive all over, and that was the worst. I'd be stopping all the time, and I'm supposed to be working. I'm like, let me just go down here and look. But I get on the internet all the time, Google. If people have trouble finding like public places, just type in parks, type in if you name of a river, and just type in kayak access or canoe ramp. And a lot of times it tells you all, here's a public one, here's a private one, here's this. There's so much. If you type it in, and then if you have there's a stream going, even if it's a real small one, you're like, well, just follow it downstream. Yeah. It's going to lead you somewhere.
Yeah.
There's so much out there to be found. It does take a little work to find the really good holes and the good spots, but that's why it's more rewarding, I feel like. It's just more fun. You found it yourself. You might fish something that no one's fishing. Yeah. You could be catching totally wild fish that no one's been casting at.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. I love doing that.
Yeah.
And then I think, the apps are great. OnX Maps, the Google Maps and all that stuff is great for finding those spots. But if you find something maybe it's outside the city a little bit, it's that opportunity to ask that landowner if you could cross over and hit some of those creeks that maybe never gets fished like you talk about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's so many places. That I did that before. We're like, hey, do you mind if I fish here? Oh, yeah, you can fish here. And I know this guy. He said you can fish this area. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of access that it just takes a little bit of asking, a little bit of searching, talking to people, for sure.
Yeah,
that's neat.
Well, all right. Well, I was perusing your Facebook channel and seeing what you've been up to, and the first thing that caught my eye was the kayak tournaments that you've been fishing in. Tell us about what that's all about. I mean, it's like you're weighing your fish or you're measuring your fish and scoring them. And
yeah, I love them. I wasn't really a bass fisherman, and I never really fished off boats until I started this YouTube channel and people invited me out. So I never had a boat, really. I barely kayaked, but I wasn't really competitive in it, and I just kind of enjoyed it. And I really like these tournaments because they forced me to fish a little harder and learn a little more. And we go out there. It's 8 hours usually from it'll be on Saturdays, 7 to 3. And we where I'm at with the group I'm at, we rotate around Knoxville mostly. So we just had one on Norris, and it was 35 degrees all day and ice coming down. But
Wow.
I caught 4 fish. So it can be really rough.
Yeah.
But so our the group that I'm with is TNCAT, TNKTT, and there's probably 30, 40 people, and you don't have to do every one, but you can do each tournament if you want to do it. It's not really expensive. You can pick any place on a lake. So there's not at a boat tournament, there's a boat launch. You can go anywhere, any public access, and I love it because I'll find the most backwoods little channel that no one will go.
Yeah.
And I try to, because I always want to fish by myself. I don't want to be fishing on top of people, and I just want to be out there, find a place out of the way, and you measure the fish. So it's all done through an app, TourneyX. They have an app. They do all kinds of tournaments. But you lay your fish on your board, you take a picture of it with your identifier, and it all goes by length.
Okay.
So no weight, all lengths, take a picture, and then you let the fish go. And then we do top 3 fish. Some do 5, it depends. And so your 3 biggest fish count, and if you upgrade during the day, that one replaces a smaller one.
Sure.
And, one fish makes a huge difference with that. So you might catch or lose a 20-incher, and that's a from first to 15th or something like that.
Right.
So I like how simple it is. It's very easy. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to catch a ton of fish, and you don't have to really target big. I just go out there. My goal is just to catch fish. Like 12 inches is the minimum. That's what I'm going for. Once I get my 3 12 inchers or fit whatever, then I'm like, okay, let's see if we can get a bigger one.
Yeah.
And I just take a real simple approach, and and I enjoy it. Try not to get burned out. Some people get so focused into it. I have to stop and eat and take drinks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really fun, and it's opened up fishing in a different way. And it's something I can do through the winter where the creeks are really slow. I really don't get in much creeks, but you can go out in the lake, and especially a new lake, it's a new experience, and try to figure it out.
That's cool. Yeah, I see that. Well, you totaled 46 inches in your last one, and 11 out of 26 anglers. That's pretty good.
Yeah, the top I think I had 52. So, but one tournament 46 could win it.
Yeah.
One tournament it could be not, and and that's the thing is you never know what's going to happen. You don't know what the other people are doing. Now you can keep track of it. You can look and kind of see, but some people don't upload their fish right away. So it can be tricky.
Sandbag a little bit. Yeah.
So, but it's a fun, and all the guys that are in it all are just kayakers, and they just enjoy fishing, and and we usually have a meetup afterwards, so like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And everybody talks about how many fish they didn't catch, and
The one that got away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, while we're on the water, I also saw that you got you a flat bottom now, so you're adventuring out a little bit.
Yeah, I decided I was like, I wanted to try getting a boat, and I don't want to take away from what I love to do, but I was like, so I got on Facebook Marketplace, got me a little boat for $2,000, 15-foot aluminum, and I've taken it out and caught white bass already on it.
Yeah.
About ran out of gas the first trip. And
You learned your lesson.
Yeah,
there.
I think it's super lightweight too. It's I don't know. I'm trying to get into it, and it's a good test to see if I really want to buy a nicer boat in the future, or if it's I'm probably not going to do that much. But it's fun to be able to take somebody else out with you. That was the kind of thing I wanted to be able to get to some new places, and also be able to take somebody else with me.
Yeah.
So I probably will get a nicer one eventually, but I like how that thing's so cheap and little, and I don't care.
You can go just about
I
anywhere.
can beat it up or do whatever to it. It's not gonna, hurt me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can get up in those creeks too. I mean, and fish out of the boat.
Yeah, there's a couple, especially small rivers down by me. I'm really here in a few weeks. I'll probably take them up in there, and they're real shallow, but it's clear water and stuff, and they get all kinds of different fish coming up in there. So we'll see what we can find with it.
So what do you power it with?
It's got a 35 horse 2-stroke. I think it's Evinrude.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's the boat's an '83 model. I don't know if the engine is, but it's old. I don't know much about them, so this is a good little learning, and we'll see if it tears up. It tears up, but
Yeah.
right now it's going.
Oh, that's fun. Well, you kind of teased us earlier about a big catch that you had this year so far, and I'm excited to hear about the Muskie trip.
Yeah.
I saw a post on your Facebook where you had, was it 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about that. That's crazy. I've never caught a muskie.
I caught one out of a river in Middle Tennessee, and it was on accident, kind of. It was a musky river, but I just hooked it at the end of the day on a tiny little lure. And then there's a river by me it's only like 20 minutes away that they stocked them in the lake, and I've had 2 of them hit when I'm fishing the lake and break off because they'll just hit. One was on a spinnerbait, one was on something else. I'm just reeling in, and boom, they hit. Yeah. So I'm like, I have to land one around me. And there's this place that's down below the dam, and people catch them there. And I've gone probably 20 times and never caught one. And I see them every once in a while, and I was like, how do you people catch these things? Yeah. So it's like raining like crazy the other day, and there was like nothing to do. I'm sitting around, and I'd been editing videos. It was like 2:30 to 3, and I'm like, I'll just go out, make a couple casts, I was like, I'll put my camera on. I wasn't even expecting to catch anything. The water's up. Like 4th cast, I walk up to this little bank, and I'm like standing back a little ways, and the water's muddy. I just flip in a little paddle tail Yum swimming dinger, and I pull up. I'm like, there's a fish. There's a muskie on there.
Off the bank.
Off the bank. Okay. I'm just walking up. I cast in, and boom. And I don't know how big it was. I didn't get a measurement, but it's a good-sized fish. Yeah. I'm on like 12-pound line. Somehow I barely hooked him in the corner of the mouth.
Oh, wow.
It just had like the perfect hook set. I fought the thing for a while. Finally got him and got a good view of it on my camera. I set my camera down. And I'm like, that's crazy. I was like, how easy is that? I can never. So I'm like, well, let me go make a few more casts. 30 minutes later, I throw a spinnerbait, catch another one. Wow. At a different little calm. The water was so high, they were pushed way up shallow. And it was muddy, so I don't think they saw me, where it's usually clear. Yeah. Yeah, within 30 minutes, I caught 2. Wow. Landed both of them. And I'm like, and I'll never fish here again. I'm just done. Like, what's the chance of that happening again?
And so you're out there probably with your light tackle, right? I mean, you're going after smaller fish probably, right?
I knew that they were in there, and I thought maybe there's a chance. But the first lure was just a bass lure. I wasn't even really thinking about it. And then I had my medium heavy with like 12-pound line. Okay. And I'm like, I was going to change to like a heavier line, but I'm like, I probably won't catch anything. It's one of those ones I'm like, so yeah. And then the second one, I was like, well, they might hit a spinner. I'm like, it could happen. And then boom, it happened. So yeah.
That's crazy.
I've gone back a couple times and haven't got anything.
Hey, that's awesome though. I mean, you get lucky sometimes.
Yeah, and as me as I'm always trying to make fishing videos, so I'll go out, especially during the winter, and I'll go out days and days and not catch anything. Mm-hmm. And then you're always hoping for that just exciting day, and then I get to make a video like that, showing those 2 fish. Yeah. In Tennessee, where a lot of people still don't think there's muskie in Tennessee. I get all the time, and then that's another area where they're probably gonna multiply down that river. I would imagine there's a bunch right there where that one area. But hopefully they keep on growing and going everywhere. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we talked about a little bit about gear. What kind of gear you got with you today? Anything you want to share, show the folks?
I would just say, I'm going to show you this one here. Like, starting out, like a lot of people get into fishing or creek fishing, and they think they have to have, like, the cheap Walmart stuff. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily have to have cheap things. You can use good quality fishing gear, and they make really high-quality fishing gear for, like, creeks and things. So this one here is This is a light action, and a lot of people don't realize there's more than ultralight, medium, and heavy. There's a lot of different variances in there, and I've used so much ultralight stuff and light that I like a light better than an ultralight. It's a little bit stiffer. This is a 6.6 Cast King light action. I got 4-pound mono and just a 2,000 size reel. Pretty simple setup, and I got a little bobby garland on there, but I've caught so many different fish off this thing. Yeah. And I'll take it a lot of times to the river and stuff and either fish for crappie or bluegill or little bass or anything. But especially like a real smaller stream, this one's a 6.6 and I got a 6-foot that I really like to use. Mm-hmm. And on that 4-pound line, it'll hold up to a lot of stuff, and you can catch. That's what I like about it. This right here is like my multi-species fishing. I'll just catch whatever is biting. Yeah. And there's a million fish that'll hit a little lure like that. Mm-hmm. And especially different areas you go to. And then I've kind of evolved into my serious I call this my serious bass fishing, creek fishing rod. Okay. So as you know, you've seen, especially a lot of the streams through here, they got a good population of smallmouth, and I've gone enough times now where I've broke off on really good fish or had them not get a good hook set. And this rod right here, get you up here. is it's a 6/8 medium extra fast. I got 12. I think it's 15-pound braid with like a 10-pound leader, a little Hellgrammite there. I've caught so many fish off that thing.
Oh, those are great.
And I hook it up pretty much weedless, and I can throw it out, and I can fish it so many different ways. It'll tumble in the current, and you've seen bass sitting there. It's like a trout. They want something just kind of flow right in front of them, and it looks natural. And I've really learned how to fish that lure and to fish an area really well to get fish that maybe they're not hitting a crankbait, or maybe they're not hitting something that's going by really fast.
Not a reaction, yeah.
They want that a little bit slower, and they're a little deeper. And especially like coming in spring, like right now, I've caught some really good bass in areas that you wouldn't even think fish would be there. Right underneath a current coming in or a deep pool, they get way up into it, and they'll be sitting down on the bottom, and you don't even know they're there. So I'll throw this in and let it drift down into it, and that's why I like the medium extra fast, because it'll drift down in there, and you'll get a bite, but with that current, you'll have so much slack in your line. You got to get a good hook set, and you want a real sensitive rod. And I've had to learn this from a lot of missing fish and losing fish that I've come across. I love this 6/8 or 6'10" size. Yeah. And this is a $140 rod. It's not super expensive, but it's a lot more than most people think they need for creek fishing. But it makes a difference if you really want to catch those 2 and 3 pounders that are in there. And it's still light enough where if I pull in a 10-inch rock bass or smallmouth or largemouth, it's still fun. You can still feel it. Yeah. But when you get into those good ones, you do not want to lose them. Yeah. And I have a couple memories where I've seen fish, and I'm using just a little bit lighter tackle or something, and they just snap me off. And you're like, those things are so strong. You don't realize how much power they have.
Yeah. Well, you've talked about the rod length there. I mean, I think don't be confused or don't be afraid to use a little bit longer rod, because that's going to give you a little more control, right? A little more ability to put it in those holes and cast more accurately, because I think that's what my favorite rod is that I've got is like a 6 or a 6.5, something like that's a little bit longer, but it's still great for those creeks. I mean, you can get them right up in there.
Yeah, this right here is about the longest. Some people, like in Arkansas, in their streams, they're a lot more open area. Okay. And I know people, they use like 7.3s and stuff, but around most of us, it's a little tighter.
Limbs hanging over.
You're more likely to hit something. So, and then I don't want to go down too short. If you go down too short, you're not getting a good hook set sometimes. So, that's one of those things. This is all I do is try to find the best and get really good at fishing creeks and rivers and stuff like that. So that's where I've come across. I'm going to make a video pretty soon on targeting bass in streams and having the best setup. There's so many, I watch a lot of bass fishing videos and what are the right rods and reels for using out of a boat or something like that. And the streams get overlooked. There is there's a better thing you can use than just anything. Yeah. And there is specifics. This is just pretty much a finesse rod most people are going to use for Ned rigs and stuff, but it works great for targeting bass in streams.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is a little bit of a science behind it, and that's why people love your channel, to watch and see you try and find the right things, and that helps them get out there and have a good time doing it.
Yeah, that's I've been trying to. I don't want to share information if I don't feel confident in what I'm doing. Yeah. So I'm really been trying to learn as much as I can, be really good, and especially small rivers and creeks, stream fishing. I want to be very knowledgeable in it, in the way I can help people out, because there's not a lot of people that really emphasize on that, because they're mainly doing something else. But that's my goal, to be really good at that and knowledgeable. That way, when I do recommend something, I feel like it's a good recommendation for them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is good.
Well, we're going to run out of time if we don't jump into some of these other things. So I want to talk about your Florida trip and your Georgia trip. You've been fishing a little bit out of state. Tell us what you've been doing there.
Yeah. So, obviously when it gets cool and it gets hard to fish, going south usually helps out. Yeah. So I did one trip where I went down towards the Tampa side. And first I stopped at Jenny Springs in Florida. It's a big spring. It's got several springs, crystal clear water. Stays 72 degrees all year round. Wow! Okay. And it's only 5-6 hours from here, so it's not far drive. But it's beautiful. It's super clear water, and they also have a Sewanee bass in it. So it's another species of black bass. Mm-hmm. And so I was catching those, and went with a buddy. He caught a 5-pound largemouth. In middle of December, and it's 70 degrees out there and stuff. So, and then I went on down. about 2 hours from like probably a Tampa area. And I was like, I need to stop and try to just fish some of these little canals. I'm kind of close to the coast, but I'm still in freshwater. So I stopped at one place, and I stopped at another place, and then I just stopped at another one on these little back roads, and there saw a little ramp access. So I was like, I'm putting my kayak in there. I have my kayak with me. I got a kayak in there. I fished about 3 hours, and I think this was in December, late December, and I started throwing a topwater. And they were hammering it. They were like, I'm like, oh yeah, topwater. It's warmer down here. I caught like 7 or 8 at least largemouths in at least probably a couple hours. Just a place I'd never been to before. Canal, it goes in. I'm like behind these houses and stuff, and there's so much different areas. And then I went on down a little further and tried some places, and I caught a couple snook, just casting around little swim baits. Had no idea, never been there before. Didn't know anything. No one told me to go fish here. And there's a lot of stuff. And then in Georgia, I went here recently to the Flint River because I wanted to catch some shoal bass. And I took my kayak by myself, and it was a little strong, but I went upstream and found a little cove, and I caught a crappie and a couple white bass and like 3 or 4 shoal bass, and then a few spotted bass. And that was another not very 4-hour drive probably. Just get down there and came back.
So that's crazy. I mean, you got there's places close, but when you said earlier, when you go to your destination, you're headed to your destination, and some of the best stops were like in between where you're headed, and just that creek looks nice. Let's try that one.
that I feel that's how you find the best places, is just those random spots. Yeah, I'm always looking. I went up to Virginia to fish with a guy, and we were going to go up to North Virginia, and I just get into Virginia, and I see this stream. I was like, oh, it looks perfect for wading. It's like just the right size. It was clear. I get off the interstate, and was it 95? I get right off the interstate. I pull over. I found a public access. Caught a 3-pound smallmouth there.
Oh wow,
that's crazy. Yeah, it's you gotta put the work into it. You gotta make a stop here and there.
Yeah.
You can't look it over because sometimes right under your nose.
That's right.
A lot of people have driven right by that spot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, John, I appreciate you being with us. I think we covered a lot of stuff today. Probably left a few things out, but man, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I appreciate being here.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get out here and catch some fish. Now, he's been eyeing 7 Mile Creek. I'm sure there's some more on your list for today.
Oh, yeah, I got some places to
next
scout
few
out.
days.
Yeah.
So go out there and catch some Nashville fish.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is Tennessee WildCast. Don, thank you.
You bet. Thank you, John. Appreciate you.
Sir.
Yep. Check out John on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. YouTube, all his videos there at Creek Fishing Adventures. Check out his website and go learn something. He's got a lot of cool stuff out there. So
Glad to be here.
Yep. Appreciate you being on.
Thanks to Todd for keeping us all in line and getting it all recorded for
Making us sound good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is Tennessee WildCast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.